Hey, this is Doug Stanhope, and you are listening to Revolution of the Board podcast. Another one.
Revolution of the Board.
All right, welcome back, you guys. We are Revolution of the Board. This is episode 15. It is a beautiful fucking windy-ass Sunday? Today's Sunday?
Yeah, today's Sunday.
Sunday
and there
afternoon.
are turkey vultures and eagles flying around outside above Dave's compound.
They can tell. They know our fucking lifestyle. They're looking
They're
to...
waiting for us to fucking die.
They're waiting for us to just keel over and croak. But yeah, today is Sunday, the 23rd of November. We're finally getting around to recording this episode.
And let's see how long it takes for us to actually get this podcast
Yeah, that's totally on me.
out.
Because I do tend to poke ass when it comes to putting everything
the
together.
22nd, and then people might hear this. It's like, hey, but now it's the 22nd of February.
It's like, what? This is, I think 6 months actually did pass one time between recording one of our episodes and actually putting it out.
Yeah, it did.
So yeah, okay. I will refrain from dragging ass so much on that. But yeah, you guys just heard our new revamped intro. I just decided to, make sure that it was sounding better, a little more professional, but still a little gritty, still kind of homegrown. We don't want this to sound like a fucking morning radio show. Everything's all overproduced and shit.
It based off of a riff that did make a song off my Morphine CD called Hive Mind. I think the song was called Idiots. And the opening riff was one of the first riffs I kind of recorded for that song. I didn't use that same one for, I think, the CD itself. But the opening riff I liked so much. That's why I used it for Revolution of the Board.
Yeah.
Because it was just feedback, harmonics, everything.
Yeah, and also with this episode, I managed to get my setup back in running order. You might notice that the sound quality is a little bit better. It's because we're not actually recording off our phones this time. We've got the mic set up and everything. Got this beautiful condenser mic where you can actually hear every little sound in the fucking room. If my cat comes in here and starts licking his ass, you're gonna hear it.
Babies with AIDS on fire. Time for some Tex-Mex nuts.
Yes, today's show is unofficially brought to you by Great Value Tex-Mex Trail Mix. It's good.
It's also brought to you by the time that I remembered that my wife was walking around and got attacked and killed by a swan. They'll kill you. They'll kill you.
They'll kill you dead. But yeah, a lot of shit's been going on in the world and in El Paso in general. Let's get into it, man. What's on your mind, Morphine?
I'll just flat out say, shout out to the El Paso Horror Society podcast. They are really kicking it up. They are doing what they can to just get this stuff out.
They're a fellow Podbean podcasts. They're also hosted on podbean.com, just like us, Revolution of the Board. And, we saw that they were getting something started, and I, just wanted to make sure that they had all the support
Dave's
that we could possibly give them.
That turned me on to them. Mm-hmm. Dave just, I think, tagged me in a post over in Facebook, and turns out I started hearing the podcast, their first initial one, right away when they were talking about, I think Kristen's past about the weird spooky shit that went on when she was about to be born in the first podcast.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, that's cool. But when they started talking about horror movies and they said the rise of Behind the Mask, the rise of Leslie Vernon, I was thinking, oh my God, I love them already because I love that movie so fucking
As soon as I heard that, when they said that, that's when I decided to tag you because I listened to the podcast before I tagged you in it.
That's one of my fucking favorite horror movies. I actually donated my money to the page for...
They had a Kickstarter? Or?
They had a Kickstarter sort of thing to try to make a sequel prequel, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, I donated like $25 at the time. I couldn't afford much. I would have paid $100 if I could.
Yeah.
for that because I wanted this to happen. It didn't happen, so I wasn't charged anything. But still, I love that series. I love Leslie Vernon. I love that entire I'm training to be the next biggest slasher vibe.
Yeah.
And Nathan Basil, I think that's what you say him. He's the one that was the Dane Cook looking guy that played Leslie Vernon. He was perfect for that role. And then Angela Goethals, who many people will remember. You ever seen Home Alone 1? She's the one that tells Kevin, "You're what the French call les incompetents." She's that white chick with a little bit of reddish hair. She's the redhead, the main chick. She's the survivor girl in Behind the Mask.
Gotta love those gingers.
I do have an affinity. I really do have an affinity for redheads.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Ain't nothing there's nothing like a psychotic little fire crotch to get your blood running.
No,
Yeah, but I mean, well, back on the podcast, the El Paso well, actually, if you guys want to check them out on Facebook, they are El Paso Horror Society. But yeah, I like what they're doing. It's kind of a shorter form podcast. Their episodes are about half an hour long, which is actually the way to do it.
An hour. I think the first one was maybe like 15 minutes.
Yeah,
but I've listened to a few of them. I love hearing them talk about this crazy stuff. One of them was about the Goat House that's going to be released in December, maybe December 6th or something like that. Either way, it's going to be kind of run, I think, by the guy that is making a book here in El Paso.
Right.
That, excuse me, is making a cookbook inspired by the last meals of serial killers.
Oh, okay. I thought he was doing a restaurant. Or is it just the cookbook?
He's doing that cookbook, and now he's doing the restaurant. But he does kind of have a Kickstarter thing going on with the cookbook.
Oh, okay.
Is it called Fund Anything? I don't know.
There's GoFundMe or something like that.
Something like that.
Go fund yourself.
Go fund yourself.
Go fund yourself.
I'll go fund yourself, cocksucker.
Oh, but I really like the format of that podcast. It's really straightforward. It's nice and short. We tend to fucking ramble on. You guys know from listening to us. Anybody who's listened to any of our previous episodes.
If you've been a fan of us and listening to us all the time, you know we ramble all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And we cuss too much.
But what I like is I like the fact that there's still, I mean, ever since we started this podcast, we saw a rise in people starting their own thing. Some of the podcasts are still going. Some of them kind of died off. But the fact is, there's still an interest in that. And I do want to start something like, you know how Death Squad has their own network?
Yeah.
I want to kind of start that here in El Paso.
So if anybody, where we don't make a network, but we're united.
Exactly, and I'm totally down for starting something like that. I want to get a bunch of different podcasts together under the same network. We can have our own website where we all just advertise our own shit. We release our podcasts and kind of conglomerate, kind of gather our fans together.
It's recording, right?
Yeah, it is
okay.
Recording.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're starting. We're trying out my laptop. Normally we would record on Morphine's. But
I had a lot of problems.
Yeah, there were some technical issues. So we're recording the first episode to be recorded on my laptop now. And shit, mine's in even worse condition, but it's going good so far. So, yeah. What else, man? Let's see. Recently I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact that what I've noticed especially in the last, say, half a year or so, people are getting a lot. People even specifically our generation and some of the younger ones too, is that they're getting a lot more politically involved, and a lot of it has to do with just shit upon shit that's being done either within our own government or injustices that we've seen around the world, partially due to the internet. You can find out about anything as it's happening, and I never used to see people this excited or this passionate about worldwide issues like that before, and it's starting to happen, notably here in El Paso, because we actually did get this is the second year that it's happened globally, but El Paso itself has its own anonymous chapter.
November 5th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they this November 5th we did have the Million Mask March. I was there.
Yeah, Dave was there in a non-mask.
A non-mask, is that the term for
Guy
it?
Fawkes?
Mm-hmm.
Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah. No, but it was actually good to see people actually going out there. One criticism I would have is that because Anonymous is such a decentralized kind of organization, there's no leadership. Pretty much anybody can speak for Anonymous. So
That's always a bad thing.
Yeah, you get a lot of people who do have valid
Deep
issues,
beliefs.
but you also get some people who are just
you got douchebags that go there with masks on and they start talking like, "Yeah, fuck the system."
Well, we had that. Plus, we have people that are kind of a little bit off the rails with like conspiracy theories, stuff that's not really founded in facts.
They will talk about. You guys ever see that documentary called Room 217? Whatever the fuck it was called. Christ, what was it? Totally derailed. There was a documentary sort of on the whole making of The Shining in a way.
Yeah.
And there were people saying that
that Kubrick was kind of like putting in subliminal
messages, and that Kubrick was trying to put subliminal messages about how he was responsible for faking the moon landing video.
Right.
Just a bunch of weird shit like that. And people get really into really crazy shit. Yeah. It was just nuts watching it.
Anybody that wants to check that out.
I was trying to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole thing, and all I can say was just not to cuss. I don't like to cuss that much. Well, I do like to cuss, but I try not to when we record the podcast, but it just happens.
Sometimes we were talking about that earlier. It does sometimes become a crutch. Like you tend to stutter and you don't know what to say, and
yes,
the easiest thing to say is fuck or this.
Yes, if you say like or in between words, I'd rather just kind of pause I'd rather just collect myself than to have the and then say something.
But when you're aware that there's a microphone right in your face and that shit's being recorded, you get very hyper aware of dead air,
yes,
and you start to panic if
realize about that because you're there and you know it's going to be heard.
Yeah, and I noticed that I was saying earlier, I noticed that a lot with especially this last podcast that we released. I was editing it and I just noticed there was like every other word is like fucking this and fucking that and this fucking thing, and we went to this fucking place and we did this fucking thing, and like I actually had to edit out a lot of the.
I know you do that.
Yeah,
I do too, though. So
yeah, I'm a really big culprit on that. Whenever I'm kind of like stuttering along and not.
What was I talking about before?
Before that, you were talking about the Room 120 or 217.
Yes. The Kubrick. Documentary.
With
I'm just trying to get the nuts out of my mouth. I didn't want to say it.
Trying to get the nuts out of your mouth. No, it's because we were talking about the what is it? Conspiracy theorists.
Yes, and how they were getting really deep into this weird thing about. Oh God, just watch the movie and judge for yourself. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's Room 217 on.
It's on Netflix. I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just judge for yourself, so I don't have to get mad at myself for just trying to explain anything.
But basically, the overarching theme is just that people who have these extreme views, I mean, and they're valid. I mean, they should have a voice. The thing is, when you have all these different perspectives, it does kind of cloud the main purpose, which. The Million Mask March that takes place every November 5th, there's not really a single concept that everybody's marching for. Everybody kind of brings their own shit to the table.
But see, you spoke about a clear purpose on what you were explaining. Something's going on with your computer.
No, that's fine.
There are things that mask the purpose, which always sucks. Because there's always douchebags that ruin it. Or there's always people that ruin the cause. There's always the disease in the possible cure.
Yeah, and that's also, one of the things I was going to touch on, because I was at that march when it started, like at 8 in the morning, to when it finished, like around 4 in the afternoon. And the first group of people that were there were the ones that actually had more clear and thought out perspectives and causes that they were marching for. I know there was a woman there that was marching against, genetically modified organisms, the GMOs that, Monsanto is kind of known for producing. There was another guy there that was marching against police corruption. And there's just a bunch of different things. And then once those people started, kind of leaving throughout the day, a new crowd of people started coming in, and these were younger people, and these were dudes that just had signs that said "fuck the police." And there's this one kid who had that sign, and any cop that drove by, he was just flipping them off. And like, okay, first of all, I mean, yeah, you might be protesting police abuse of power, but you got to realize that's not every cop. Not every cop is a fucking douchebag.
The reason why they wrote "fuck the police" in NWA was they were dealing with police brutality in a broader scale over in LA. And
that was racially motivated because of the LA riots.
That's why you listen to the song, and don't let it be a black and a white one, pretty much saying that the black cop is going to act up in front of the white cop to make sure that the white cop knows, I don't give a fuck, it's not about race, or yeah, I know these black guys are going to be troublemakers, so let's beat the shit out of them.
And don't get me wrong, the police brutality is an issue here in El Paso. We've had people that have been shot.
It's a police brutality everywhere. It's been historically notified. They still do that today.
Yeah, that's still an issue here. And the thing is, when you're a fucking kid that has a sign that says "fuck the police" and you're just flipping off cops as they go by, you're
kind of inciting.
Yeah, people who don't even really know what we're protesting about, they assume that everybody in the group is like that kid. Everybody, it gets us seen as just fucking kids that want to, cause a ruckus or some shit. Yeah,
they view everyone as being troublemakers, trying to fight the system. Like a really bad Rage Against the Machine song.
Yeah, there's another kid that had a sign that said "legalize weed," and like that's an argument, but don't call it weed, because you sound like a stoner. You sound like some retard that's like, "Oh, legalize it, man."
I hate stoner culture so much. I don't mind if people want to legalize marijuana, but I do despise stoner culture.
Like I actually really do enjoy weed, but I don't fucking like stoners at all.
And I don't like weed. I've smoked weed sometimes in my life. Just like Stanhope says, I agree with that. I've tried weed many times. It doesn't work for me.
Yeah. And if you're trying to make a point about it that you want people to take seriously, don't use the slang. Don't call it weed. Say, "I'll legalize marijuana for this this reason."
I understand. Like, the perfect spokesperson for marijuana is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan and Red Band, they are amazing on trying to talk about that intelligently. But stoners, I fucking hate.
Legalizing it, there's so many different angles that you can come at that from. It doesn't have to just be the recreational use. It could be medicinal. It could be, as a building material, as a textile. But everybody, like kids, like these kids that showed up to the later half of that protest, they were just, they just want to get high. And there's an argument for that, but no, it's not just that.
I hate the stoners. I appreciate it if it helps people deal with major issues, but there are the people that want to smoke weed just because, kind of like alcoholics, they want to drink all day just to numb themselves. Yeah.
Well, luckily when the news came to interview us, I mean, that was when the original crowd was there, so we didn't get a lot of they didn't get a lot of that on camera, because that's what I was afraid of, was that was going to be what was shown on TV, and that was going to become representative of Anonymous in El Paso.
I'm pretty sure the news wanted to find those people.
No, because actually they did interview. Well, actually, I'll play the clip right now in a little bit, but they actually did interview one guy that was kind of one of these like conspiracy theorist type dudes, and they ended up not using his. They ended up not using his interview.
I'm so glad about that.
Yeah, I was shitting bricks too when I saw that they were interviewing him. I'm like, oh fuck, he's gonna be the one that's on TV and it's gonna fuck everything up.
He will be front page.
Yeah. But actually, I do want to play like I was saying, it wasn't all just people there for legalizing marijuana. It wasn't all just people there for police brutality. It was a mix of different ideas and different takes on it. And we actually, one of the things that did strike me was that people were actually coming up to us and they were happy that we were there. A lot of them were older people too.
Yes, that vet. Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a vet that showed up and?
Yeah, there was a vet that joined us. There was actually a couple vets. One of them showed up, like specifically to join us and protest. He was a veteran of, what the fuck was it? I don't know. He was a rescue swimmer, and he said he was just saying that, like, he just does not agree with the reasons that they're being sent out there. And whatever your position is on the military and the war itself, just the fact that somebody who was in there still does not still has that distaste for the powers that sent him there in the first place. But yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people just that were walking by because we were in front of the courthouse, and they just stopped by to, give us encouragement. Some people wanted to take pictures with us. But one of them that struck me as strange was, I don't know if you've ever heard of Teresa Caballero. She's a kind of a well-known attorney here in El Paso.
Never heard of her.
But yeah, she actually stopped by, and I'm going to play a little clip from her. So if you'll just bear with me a second. This is Teresa Caballero giving us words of encouragement, but also kind of like showing her position on things, what she thought we should be protesting for.
All right.
What do they vote for? They vote for the wrong people because they're being told who to vote for. Who are they being told who to vote for? By the newspaper. You should take your protest and fuck the editor of the paper, whose name is Bob Moore.
Bob Moore, editor of El Paso Times.
Robert
right?
Moore.
Yeah, basically what she was talking about there was just the El Paso Times. She kind of came up. That was just a short clip of the things that she was, telling different members that were already there protesting, what she felt that we should be protesting, which was the El Paso Times. She didn't like how they, reported on different things. She thought that they kind of influenced people on how to vote. She was saying, like you heard there, basically said to go down to the El Paso Times and tell the what's it called, the editor to go fuck himself.
A lot of people won't, and a lot of people won't make things kind of change because we're in a generation where the people on the news will not say what needs to be said just because they have all these backers that are paying them. Mm-hmm. They are on the company dime. They will not do anything against it. They won't bow before the masters. And it sucks.
Yeah.
Because everyone's a corporate shell once they get into really public, I guess a view is the right word.
Well, once they get into the public eye?
Yeah.
Basically, when they become a public figure, they become well known.
Yes.
It's hard not to.
They're not doing it on their own. Mm-hmm. They're part of a company, and so they have to follow the company standards.
Yeah, and
it's pretty much, it's a lot like politics. And it got really kind of scary because the wind just stopped once I talked about this.
I know, it's quieted just to hear you, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that scared me a little bit.
But, I mean, with regard to this lady, Teresa Caballero, some people may have heard of her, some people may not have. She's a well-known attorney in El Paso. She's had some controversy in the past, and, you might not really agree with her politics. I personally don't. But what it goes to show is that even somebody in that position, they saw what we were doing. They saw that we were looking to make some bit of a difference. And they stopped by and they appreciated it. Another person that I want to show you guys is this gentleman who will remain nameless because he didn't want to he does have family in the military, but he is a former U.S. military vet. He is now homeless, and he gave his own take on it. He actually joined us and protested with us.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play that quick little interview right now. Hold on.
Mostly what I believe in, I've been marching basically, for free speech, democracy. I'm out here also marching for the homeless. I'm homeless myself. I live right at the shelter at 1208 Myrtle. I'm a United States Navy veteran. I'm a Muslim. I'm just here protesting what I believe in.
And how does being Muslim and being a veteran, how does that perspective, what do you bring to the protest with that perspective? What is it that affects you the most?
Well, one thing that affects me the most is, number one, the homelessness that veterans, are facing nowadays. They're coming back, many of them are coming back from war zones. They're coming back with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They're having flashbacks, and there's not enough help available for them. And many of them are thrown out on the streets by sometimes their own families. I've met veterans that have, had multi-million-dollar jobs at corporations, and all of a sudden these corporations fall and they're left with nothing. As a Muslim, I speak out against the terror that ISIS is perpetrating in the name of Islam. One thing, I'm a Shia Muslim, and in Iraq, Sunni and Shia, that's a whole nother thing I can get into later, but they're not getting along at, the moment, and millions of Christians and Shia Muslims are being killed by the sword as we speak now for not converting to what they feel is the real Islam. Right. And our government, I've been telling them, me and other people, we've been telling them millions of times to stop supporting ISIS. Stop supporting these groups. These groups, they're terrorists, nothing more. One thing in the Quran, it says that, you kill one person unjustly, it's as if you've killed all of humanity. And that's definitely two things that I bring to the table here, among freedom of speech.
Okay. And the political climate being as it is, currently, obviously there's been a lot of negative attitudes toward Muslim people. What do you think are the main misconceptions that people have here in the U.S.?
Well, one of the main misconceptions that they have in the U.S. is the whole idea of jihad. Jihad in Arabic, it means to struggle. The first jihad is the struggle within oneself to just do the right thing. One thing that's, a struggle for me is just being able to walk without pain. That's my jihad, The lesser jihad is the jihad with battle. And with that is battle against corruption right now. This is a jihad. This is battle against government corruption. We're not harming people. We're just informing people. People need to know what is going on in this country as we speak now. Right. You want to get into the criminalization of black and brown youth. I mean, as we are right now, we're standing here. Every time we see a police car, we're saying hands up. Right. Hands up. We're letting them know we're not armed. We're peaceful protesters. So that's just one of many things we're all here bringing to the table. I like to ask, what are you bringing to the table?
Well, me personally, big thing for me is the militarization of the police force. I mean, you see the police out. Just earlier, we saw 2 police officers across the street in bulletproof vests with a dog. At that time, it was only 10 protesters that were here at that time, and we're a peaceful protest. It seems as if the idea of a peaceful protest is something that's lost on the current establishment, because they come ready to fire guns and use force before rationalization, and I think that's a big problem. And El Paso, there's not a lot of that here, but we are starting to see. Mm-hmm. We're starting to see that, because there have been people that have been hurt unjustly by police officers. I'm not saying that all police officers are bad, but it's easy when you have that level of power and authority. It's easy to abuse that.
Yes, I agree. It's very, very easy to abuse that. even as when I was in the military, they trained us to push that button. And we know that button will kill over 40,000 people, nuclear submarines, nuclear ships. I mean, even now, we're starting to see, again, militarization, of the police force. I'm starting to see vehicles, that I haven't seen since, I was in the military. What are they trying to show with,
exactly, except they're painted black and white now.
Exactly. I mean, if the police is supposed to protect the people, what are we showing little kids? Little kids that are, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old.
Exactly. We lead by example, and we're putting forth a pretty bad example when it comes to the role of authority figures in people's lives and what it determines for their future.
We're teaching kids that violence is the way
obedience
to solve
through fear.
Obedience to fear, obedience to authority, and that the only way to get what you want in the world is through violence. And all I got to say is I don't want to live in a world like that.
Exactly. I want to change a world like that.
Exactly.
That was a pretty strong interview, I gotta admit. It's hard to really know what is real in the corruption of society today. But the fact is, everyone's awake. Everyone is aware.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of person that waits back until I see, I guess, the truth, because the truth will happen sooner or later.
I think things like this interview that we just played, it shows that even amongst all the people that might be spouting conspiracy theories or have poorly thought out arguments like the fuck the police or legalize weed, man. Among all that, there are people that have something to say, that has something that needs to be heard. And those are the people you got to find. I mean, this guy, for instance, he's not only a veteran, he's an African American. And not only that, he's also Muslim. He's a minority within a minority within a minority, and he's...
That's Inception.
Yeah, that's the Inception fucking... I just think that, it was interesting to see somebody that doesn't really fit the mold of what you think of. First of all, when you think of a homeless person, this guy was not... didn't smell like fucking piss. He didn't smell like booze. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't, begging for change. He was just a guy like you or me. He was maybe a little bit younger than me. I'm 29. He was probably in his late 20s, but I was thinking like maybe 26, 27. He was very well spoken, very coherent, and he had a point, Whether I know, like with the whole thing on the Muslim religion, there's very divisive sides to that argument, and whatever your feelings are on that, I mean, he does have a perspective on that because he lives that, and he's not a violent fucking extremist.
You heard him. He sounded like a pleasant man.
Mm-hmm.
Just go fuck yourself thinking that hobos are just angry.
Exactly.
No.
And not only that, if he had never told me that he was homeless, I wouldn't have been able to tell. The way
that he was speaking, the way that you picture homeless men, just if you're going to do this, listener, when you think of homeless men, you think of a certain, I guess, description of what you would hear. This man spoke with such intelligence.
I don't know. And I think as long as those are the kind of people that this movement, like the group Anonymous, attracts, as long as we have intelligent people there, then we have the ability to enact a change, to open people's minds and open their eyes. And that's the important thing. It goes past all the symbolism of the mask and you're wearing a Guy Fawkes mask. No, it's deeper than that. And I think by having this Million Mask March here in El Paso, we showed that we have that potential here. We just need people to get off their asses and actually care about things. And I'm slowly but surely starting to see that. And that's what gives me hope.
It's starting to happen, man. Around the world, people are frustrated with the way things are going.
Just look at this Operation KKK thing that's more recent. Unless you've been living under a rock, you might have heard that, Anonymous, the worldwide, at least the national anonymous entity, is attacking the KKK.
And you already know.
It's just
and
beautiful.
you can't explain it because you cannot break the first 2 rules.
That's Fight Club, not Anonymous.
It's pretty much the same goddamn thing. Fuck you, Dave.
Fuck you and your fucking felt blazer.
Fuck you with your magic.
Your fancy felt blazer that you wore to a podcast where nobody's even going to see your face.
Oh. What's
that you
behind your
wore?
wall?
Yeah, it's a jacket. I'm not wearing it.
I wore it.
I didn't wear it
I
here.
walked into it because it was cold outside.
I'm going to David's. I'm going to wear a fancy little blazer and comb my hair back. No, this fucking, like, seriously, this attacking of assholes. Like, yes, KKK is a racist, hate-filled group that only, they're white supremacists. They want to put themselves above everybody else.
But they're being unmasked now.
Exactly. They can't hide behind that. And people make
There's ice cream man outside.
Ice cream man.
I know we're talking about deep shit. I'm like,
ice cream.
Ice cream.
See, you guys can hear it now. Going through the background. No, but one of the main arguments is that people have with regards to the KKK thing. It's like, oh, well, how is the Guy Fawkes mask any different than a KKK hood? The Guy Fawkes mask is not necessarily to conceal your identity. Yes, we're called anonymous, and yes, they put those masks on, but it's more of a symbol of solidarity. It's more of a symbol that we act as a single unit. We are people from all different walks of life, and we act as a single unit.
They kind of put on the Guy Fawkes mask because I think I forget what it originated from.
Well, Guy Fawkes was a British national that tried to blow up Parliament.
And that's why it was used in Alan Moore's V for Vendetta,
right?
Which is made for a movie, which is very successful, and that was a good movie.
Yeah,
and that's why I think Anonymous uses that, is because it was kind of.
It's the ideology behind the movie itself too, because
it's not so much Guy Fawkes, but for V for Vendetta. It was. I was made this way. I was able to get away, and now I'm fighting against what made this happen.
Yeah, and
it is one of the greatest stories.
Mm-hmm.
I was created by this oppression.
It's kind of a Frankenstein type story.
Yes, exactly.
Rebel against your creator.
So much Frankenstein, but in a very smart way.
Mm-hmm. It's the Lucifer story. It's the Frankenstein's monster. Yeah,
we always had that story where the offshoot, the reject of the creation, rebels against the creator because they're thinking, why was I a reject? Let me show you why you are wrong.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that kind of battle till the day there's no existence.
It's very true, man. And it's only spreading. This way of thinking, this entity that Anonymous has become, it's spreading. People are, and for good and bad too, because I see just as many like closed-minded people. You go on the Fox News page, and you just see so many ignorant people who only believe what they're told.
Just talk shit no matter what. I don't know if that guy from Kinley's is, if he did it or not.
The voyeurism one?
Yeah.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't heard, the owner of Kinley's Coffee House,
right close to UTEP. Mm-hmm.
He's been accused of basically being a peeping Tom, inviting female employees over to his house.
He was out of town, supposedly, and saying, hey, you can come over to my house and stay there. I'll pay you $10 a night, but keep the...
Under the premise that they would be, house sitting and
they would have to
looking
take care of the
pets.
house, and the dogs, but they would have to keep the bathroom door open because he was worried about mold.
Yeah, some bullshit
And
excuse like that.
I think it turned out in the news articles there was a camera kind of pointed towards the bathroom where he was watching them undress and maybe shower.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not shower, but they would come out of the shower naked, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the fact was, this happened in 2013. It took this long for this news to come out. That's what a lot of people are really mad about.
Keep going, man. I'm gonna go take a piss.
All right. If not, we can just delete this.
Yeah, just keep going. Talk to the people.
All right. Okay. Dave's gonna take a piss, and I guess you're alone with me. I'm an individual that is very upset with how everything is going. But I do love how in this age of information, everyone knows what is going on. Everyone is aware. And I hate stuttering like this. I hate the likes, fuckers, this and that. I hate talking that way. If I pause, it's because I'm trying to find a right way to speak. Because I don't want the little crutches of vocalization. All I'm trying to, I don't know. I despise just the corruption of this world. I despise it so much. I guess that's all I can say, because if I try to get into other factions of the world, it's not gonna go well, and even I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, I just despise corruption. And Dave is back.
And I'm back. Fuck, that was magical. So, I mean, I guess to sum up everything that we've been talking about as far as Anonymous is concerned, and you know, I'm glad that these things are happening. I'm glad that
No, it's amazing that it's happening, because it's amazing and inspiring that this shit is happening, because
even in a fucking country like Mexico, dude, those 43 students that were killed, Ayotzinapa.
oh yeah, that
students.
supposedly they were said, oh, we can find the Mexico students. No, they were dead from the get-go.
Exactly, and people are fucking tired of it. People are. I mean, that's one of the fucking in quotes hashtags that they've been using is "Ya me cansé," which is I'm tired of this shit. I'm fucking tired, and people don't want to stand for it anymore. We are on the brink of a revolution. Whether it's gonna be a violent one, we'll see. But something's gonna happen. Whether it be technological, like Anonymous.
There will be something going on. This is why that's why we love Stanhope, because he says there's never going to be a revolution of the board where you're on medication thinking, I'm okay. Just drink your beer and just go to sleep.
That's why we call our podcast Revolution of the Board, from that Stanhope routine. But the cool thing is, people aren't fucking bored anymore. People are angry and pissed off.
We made that name just because we understood what he was talking about, and we knew the dichotomy of that statement.
Because where were you and where was I before somebody like Stanhope came along and actually, you know, made us think about certain things? Yeah, we had a vague idea of things that pissed us off, but we were complacent. We were bored.
We were lost souls.
Yeah, we were, and I'm not gonna attribute this to all Stanhope, because it was a number of things. You know, it was different.
No, because the fact is, there is a lot of people that are out there that go through life thinking it's just, I go to work, I'm going to eat something, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to watch sports, that's life, yeah.
Well, that's El Paso, dude. Like, this town, I love this town, but it breeds...
I don't love it.
I love what it is at the heart of everything, man. But not what it is now. And that's the problem I have with it.
I love about 25% of this town.
It fucking breeds... mediocrity.
Douchebags.
It embraces mediocrity and people who are willing to accept mediocrity, which are fucking douchebags.
That's why there's so many fucking single moms here. And I know I'm in a project. I am a product of this. And if this ever does get to Peter Pignon the third, I believe, my real dad. Hey, Dad. Fuck you. Fuck you. That time that I met you when you got kicked out of your place by the chick that you were cheating on my mom with while you were beating the shit out of her. When I met you at Grandma's house, your mom's house, and they were trying to get me to eat dinner with you, it took everything in my soul and spirit not to punch you in the fucking face. And then I would have asked, is this how you punched Mom? Is this how you punched her in the face? Making her walk back, giving my brother PTSD memories of her walking down the hallway crying, holding her broken glasses. Sorry, man.
No, it's alright, man. Do you want to take a break?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, now, I guess we're gonna bring this shit to a close. I want to actually just take a couple minutes to go over some of the fan-submitted material. I do...
because it means a lot to us if you submission... Oh, God, cut me out. It does really feel nice when people that listen to us submit ideas or topics.
Exactly. I mean, we love when people that listen to the show interact. There's, every episode I ask, if there's anything that you guys want to, if there's anything you guys want to hear us talk about, let me know. We'll fucking talk about it. So with that being said, let's get into some of the fan submitted questions, comments, shit that they want to hear us talk about. First one is from Robert Gutierrez. He says, what about feminism? What feminism has turned into in America? Who are the real advocates for the cause of women's rights, like Malala, who received a Nobel Peace Prize? And that actually is something that I do feel quite strongly about, because I think feminism, as it is today, as it exists, is largely misguided. And it's very easy for me to come off as misogynistic talking about feminism. First of all, because I'm a guy. Because right off the bat, the first thing you're going to think of is like...
Misogynism comes from comedy. Mm-hmm. We say it because it's just funny. This man, I'm mad.
Yeah, but even overlooking the comedy, huh?
Is it recording?
Yeah, it's recording. Even overlooking the comedy aspect of it, like just being a guy and talking about feminism and talking and critiquing it, saying what you find wrong about it. It's easy to call that person a misogynist just because you're attacking the cause itself. And I'm not even attacking it.
With comedy, you can see what's wrong with... You can find the weaknesses of anything and make a joke out of it. Mm-hmm. Same thing with feminism. You find a weakness in that and you make a joke out of that, and then you turn into a fucking pig.
Yeah, and right there is
they view you as a pig.
I really do think that there is a certain hypocrisy that exists in the feminist movement as it is today, because it has, as it has become less and less about equality and more about supremacy. Really,
yes, the fact was, many chicks can walk down the street and protest with no shirts, saying we can wear whatever the fuck we want, and then once that guy that was part of helping getting that...
He was getting the lander on the Rosetta Comet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Landing shit in space with math and science, and he's wearing a shirt that a friend made for him.
A female friend,
Yes.
nonetheless.
With naked chicks, stuff like that.
Not even, they weren't naked. There was no nudity. There was not even an ass crack to be seen.
See, I don't even remember that.
What it was a shirt, kind of like a Hawaiian style shirt or one of those dragonfly type shirts, button down kind of short sleeve shirt that had a bunch of women, shapely women, but they were in lingerie.
Yes. And he was forced to apologize.
There was no nudity. There was nothing sexual other than the fact that it was lingerie.
Yes,
you know,
for offending women's culture. But let all the feminisms just walk around the street with no shirt because you can't tell us what we want to wear. But we can definitely judge men
based on
what they wear.
Yeah, based on what they wear.
Why?
And how?
Do you understand the fucking hypocrisy in that shit?
Yeah, I'm just tired of all these feminists that are they're going after things that have,
you know what I'm sick
that
of?
really have very little to do with actual misogyny, and they're making it part of the discussion, which actually takes away from the serious discussion of what is.
They're anti-men. If you truly want to be treated like equals, I can treat you like the way that Donovan and especially Dave and I talk to each other. We just call each other fucking horrible names. We will punch each other.
We will make fun of each other's physical appearance, which if you do that to a woman, you're a horrible, shallow misogynist.
Yes. I dated a chick. I'll say that. Fuck that. A chick for 2 years. She said so much fucked up shit because she was a psycho. I knew if I said anything against her, she would take it in such a bad way. It would fuck her up for weeks. I know if I said, hey, going down on you, your pussy kind of smells. She would flip out. Because I already knew that when she went to a concert and then went to a different bar and some douchebag bartender told her all this weird shit about, even though he didn't know her, she didn't know him, he insulted her pussy stench in a way.
It's like not for nothing, but your cunt kind of smells like the Holocaust.
Even though he had no idea what it smelled like.
Yeah.
And I was dating her. I didn't hear the end of it for at least a week.
Yeah. Well, this has been another episode of Revolution of the Board.
Thank you for your appointment.
Thank you guys for tuning in with us this long. We'll kick the next one out in the next couple of weeks or so. Won't keep you waiting so long. Again, thank you to everybody who's contributed. This is actually our we just passed our landmark 3rd birthday as a podcast. Yes. I almost forgot. On October 27th, was the 3rd anniversary of our inception as a podcast. So yeah, cheers to that shit, man.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
This revolution of the board is brought to you by the director that went on to kill himself on a porn set.
And the girl that shit herself at Olive Garden. I will never call you back. Ever.
No, erase that.
Alright, we'll just keep going.
Right. I'll just say it all. This revolution of the board is brought to you by the director that went on to kill himself on a porn set. And the chick I'm not going to call back because she shit herself at Olive Garden.
Alright, that works. And then...
yeah, whatever. I don't...
Be sure to follow the podcast at Revolution of the Board on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Revolution of the Board. Also, check us out on iTunes.
Twitter?
On Twitter? We don't have a Twitter.
I don't know.
All right, let me try that again.
I just wanted to say that. I'm probably gonna have a swollen lip. You fucking bitch ass nigga. Read a book, nigga.
Alright. Okay. Be sure to check out the podcast on fuck my life.
Be sure to check out the podcast at Revolution of the Board. Just look it up on Facebook, you fucks.
Be sure to check us out at Revolution of the Board on Facebook. That's facebook.com /
What's Facebook?
Fuck your face, nigga.
Yeah, you fucked my face with my little fucking notebook. Now I'm gonna have a
Totally didn't think
thing.
you were gonna say notebook. Be sure to check us out on Revolution of the Board on Facebook. That is facebook.com / Revolution of the Board. Also, go ahead and check us out on iTunes. That's where you subscribe to our shows. Be sure to rate us, like us, whatever the fuck that entails. Right.
Should we try again? Yeah. Well, you do the logistics. I'll just say.
You do that.
Yeah.
Right. 1, 2.
Be sure to check us out on Facebook, people.
What? I thought I was doing that part.
No, I'm saying you do the logistics. I just do the little intro to it.
Oh, okay.
Because you know all the ins and outs. Be sure to check us on Facebook.
Why the fuck are you so serious?
Just check us out on Facebook, fuckface.
That's facebook.com / Revolution of the Board. And also on iTunes.
We need beer.
Alright. Yeah, we actually do.
Let's go.
All right, this is interview number 2. I'm here with Gabriel Rio. You mentioned earlier, actually, we saw you, leading a couple people in prayer and talking about summoning apparitions. Tell us a little bit about that. What does that entail, and what's that about?
I first heard it from this guy named Prophet Yahweh. His real name is Raymond Watkins. In 2007, he summoned the first apparition in Las Vegas for the Channel 12 weather, and they showed a special of him live at 12 o'clock p.m. This was in 2007. He summoned the first UFO, and it started. It's on YouTube. It starts bouncing across the sky, zigzagging at incredible speeds that no aircraft can move. And it's a pretty good sized orb. It looks like the size of like I would say a grape size in the sky at a distance. That's pretty big if you were to see it close up.
Right.
A close up would probably be like the size of 2-3 cars put together around there at least. Maybe even a little bit more, 5 cars. So upon hearing that, I was thinking, this guy could be hoaxing it, whatever. But then I started looking into it. I started all it is just like asking God for a sign. So I started doing the same thing, and I've been seeing apparitions in the clouds, like Jesus and God versus the devil. I've seen awesome orbs. I've seen a blue orb in my room one time. It was moving across the wall and went into the ground, came back up and went to the wall. And I didn't have time to get my camera. But what I saw was like awesome, and like so many other people see the same things, and most people don't know that we could summon apparitions like that. And summoning apparitions, like most people see ghosts or like shadows on the walls, but then we can start to see more powerful apparitions like orbs. Like I've seen a blue one, I've seen a green one, and then I've seen apparitions in the sky also.
What's the connection between religious figures like God and the devil, and then UFOs and orbs appearing in the sky? What's the correlation between that? Like, why is it that prayer summons a UFO?
Yeah, the religious aspect of summoning UFOs. There's people that say that that UFOs are like actual spacecraft, but if you take the spiritual aspect of it, you can see that UFOs could be apparitions, and if UFOs are apparitions, that'd be from God. And of course, the devil might try to show themselves in the clouds like I've seen, and then you'd have Christian people say, "Oh, that's witchcraft and this and that." You know what I mean? They're so quick to judge and say it's witchcraft when they don't see the spiritual aspect where we could see Jesus and God in the clouds and stuff like this also. And and they don't take that part into account. They always say like magic is witchcraft, when yet Jesus, the greatest magician ever, had power no other human had. He was doing magic at, miraculous things, walking on water, multiplying loaves, turning water to wine, And he said we would do greater things. That's why in the book of Acts they're doing all kinds of miracles, healing people and stuff like that. You know, it's all forms of magic, and summoning is another form of magic. So for Christians to say that it's wrong, it's witchcraft, you know what I mean? They actually don't know what they're saying, because it's actually a spiritual connection between us and God when we summon, we pray to God for a sign.